This is Rob Pirie with the Coffee Runs Deep podcast, where we interview coffee farmers, coffee roasters, and we share their stories. I truly hope you enjoy the experience. What's going on, everyone? Thanks for tuning in. My name is Rob Pirie, and this week is going to be a solo episode, something I kind of want to go over with you guys, and I wanted to take this episode and explain my new coffee venture that I have planned out for 2022 and kind of go through my thought process behind everything. I think it will be helpful for anybody that's kind of wanting to open a coffee shop or coffee roastery or anything like that. I kind of want to start off where I'm at in the process, then I want to roll into like my plan, what I'm actually planning on doing, current struggles I'm facing, roll into the business plan, roll into deciding on a layout, deciding on a roaster, sample roaster, main roaster. Also, I want to explain my mindset, media plans with the building, and all kinds of stuff. So with that being said, I just want to roll into it. I want to start out with where I'm at in the process and kind of what I'm doing. So in 2022, I want to open a cafe and roastery. I've picked out a building in town, and I'm going through all the due diligence stage right now to kind of make that come to fruition. It's very intimidating. I'm pretty scared about some portions of it, and I'm not gonna lie. I think it's gonna be a huge learning experience. It's kind of going to be one of those just education in life type moments, long moments, I guess you could say. So where I'm at in the process right now, I'm in the planning phase. I'm working with contractors to see about how much everything's going to cost, how the build out's going to be, how long everything is going to take. I have a coffee shop consultant who's going to basically help me, with all the coffee shop things that I don't know about, as far as like menus, as far as, bar layout, how everything's going to be planned, how everything should flow, what equipment I need and stuff like that. So that's going to be pretty helpful. Having him has made me feel a lot more confident about the situation. So I think that's been pretty cool. I have the Small Business Development Center actually helping me with the business plan. The business plan is one of those things I'll get into in a little bit, but I've reached out to a designer to help with like the theme of everything, to help with like the atmosphere that I want to create. That's one thing. You just got to be self-aware. I know I'm not really good at the aesthetics and everything like that, so I'm definitely going to try to have some help with that and kind of put that cost in there to budget for the loan. Once I have all that data compiled, my plan is to go and submit it to a bank, give them my last 2 years W-2s, and see what I can do. That's what everything is kind of hinging on at this moment now. What is it going to cost, and will the bank basically give me that amount of money, and then what I got to put up and stuff like that. With that being said, I'll start telling you the goals I have for the place, and then I'll let you know my current struggles and what I'm kind of having, a hard time wrapping my head around. I feel this is going to be beneficial for anyone planning to start a small shop, and it doesn't even have to be coffee. It can be any type of shop. You may have some of the same concerns, some of the same questions that I have right now, and I think it'll be neat if you're viewing this in the future to see that how confused and maybe how intimidated I was at this period versus where I may be a year from now. And I may not be anywhere a year from now, but I hope I am. So the plan. There are 2 floors in the building I want. The first floor is going to be the roastery and the cafe. The second floor is going to be a media kind of studio area for product shots, cupping lab. I'm going to have a YouTube set. I want to have a podcast room and want to make it basically for collaborations and stuff like that. I want a social media kind of office area where we can plan out strategies and plan out campaigns and everything like that. I want the coffee shop and roastery to be very media driven. I've kind of focused on that from the beginning, even when I very first started. I want to increase that by a lot. I want it to be a creative hub that I can constantly pump out massive amounts of education, massive amounts of podcasts, just keep putting a lot of content out there. The roastery is obviously going to focus on specialty coffee, and I want it to be like a staple in the industry. I want it to be a new change, basically, a new way of doing things. I want my employees all super involved in what we're doing. There's a few businesses that I want to model my hiring practices after. And I think that's one of the most important things to getting a business off the ground and succeeding very quickly and growing is your hiring process. So I'm taking a lot of that into consideration right now from the very beginning, how I'm going to basically recruit. I don't really want to employ, I want to recruit. I want to go find the people that I want working for me or working with me. I want to create a team. I want them to have the same vision on where I want to push this coffee venture. So let's move into some of the current struggles that I'm kind of facing. I think the biggest thing for me right now is the order of operations. I don't know in which order things need to be completed to get to the next step because some of it's kind of vague. And if you miss one step, it could set you back a lot in the future. So what due diligence is needed before signing contracts? Before I sign anything, I want to make sure I have all my ducks in a row as far as like what needs to be completed before that step, before that signing step. What is needed before I get a bank to loan me the money? That was another thing too. They're just saying, have a business plan, bring it to the bank. What is needed before I get the bank to loan me the money? What all do I need to clear with the city before completing the business plan? I don't want to create a business plan and get funding, and then the city say, you can't do X, Y, Z, so your coffee shop is basically dead. So literally creating an order of operations list is what I did, and I move it around once I figure out what needs to be done, next, basically. And I got this long list now, and it's basically getting into some type of order on how I need to go through and check things off. This has taken me probably weeks. I'm not going to lie. It's taken me a long time to get this order of operations down on what needs to be done. And I think that was something I didn't anticipate in the beginning because everybody you talk to, the real estate agent, well, what do you need to buy the building to get it under contract? I thought you could just get it under contract. No, you got to get some type of letter from the bank. Well, how do you get a letter from the bank? Well, you need to get a loan approval from the bank. How do you get loan approval? You need a bit, so you got to back in all these avenues until you finally get to the last step, or which turns into be the first step that you need to complete to get all the way back to buying the building. And the business plan. Let's go ahead and roll into the business plan. The business plan for a coffee shop or roastery is pretty intimidating. The plan needs to be professional and informative enough to sell the bank on your idea, on your dream. With that, you have to think potentially a year out about the menu, seating, customer service, the projected revenues, expenses, and all that is hard when you haven't even bought the building yet. And it's kind of like you don't want to waste a bunch of time on it if this is not the building that it's going to be. But you still got to put all this plan together to go to the bank to get the loan to purchase the building. So it's a lot of steps just to potentially be told no or to potentially not have enough or it to be too costly to get the loan. So it's kind of been intimidating and it's kind of been a lot of work. That is why I did reach out to the Small Business Development Center. They've been a great help. The lady met with me, basically told me everything that I would need in the business plan. And she's actually worked with the bank that I'm trying to get the loan for, so she kind of knows what they need. It's a huge resource. I would highly suggest anybody starting a business, seek out the Small Business Development Center and, see if anybody there will help you. So it's hard to create the business plan when you still got to basically buy the building, convert it into what you're wanting to do. It's definitely one of those tasks where it's like you're eating an elephant one bite at a time. It's the perfect representation of that, and you just have to do it one bite at a time until you finally get it done. My next thing that I'm kind of struggling with is deciding on the layout. This has been a daunting task for some reason. It's like, as a project manager, I want it to run pretty smoothly. I've witnessed bottlenecks as far as like in industry and, different places like that. And I realized if you don't have that flow down, if you don't have all the bottlenecks kind of worked out, it can really cut production and cut quality even. So I want to have that all nailed out pretty good, which obviously my coffee consultant that I've been working with, he's going to kind of review all that. Has multiple coffee shops, so that's been kind of helpful too. Again, it's just one of those things that it takes the stress off of you that you are doing this all alone. It's kind of like assembling a little team, and that's kind of helped me a lot. So I'm definitely probably going to design like a layout, and then he's going to check over, kind of make some, recommendations and stuff like that. For me, I've kind of found it hard to visualize the layout. Like, I've been in so many coffee shops, you go to these different towns, different cities, different states. And if you're like me, you go to all the new little coffee shops. And I can visualize how it should look from their perspective, but it's hard for me to put it in my building the way it looks now. Maybe once it's empty and stuff like that, I'll have a better mindset behind it. But for me, that's kind of something I've been, struggling with a little bit, like visualizing how I want it to look in there. I know how I kind of want it to look in finished product, but like as far as the layout and stuff, it's kind of hard to wrap your head around because you're wanting to put the roastery in the cafe, how everything's going to kind of mingle with the commercial kitchen and stuff. Next thing that I'm not really struggling on, but it's kind of like one of the more funner things to kind of plan out is the roaster. I'm looking at Diedrich. I've been talking to Diedrich, Loring, U.S. Roasters, and San Franciscan. And I'm not going to lie, the customer service for all of them have been pretty good. Like, I'm going to say great. Loring has been very responsive. San Franciscan's been very responsive. All of them have been pretty responsive. They've all, within the first day of emailing, have all emailed me back. Many of them called, left voicemails saying, hey, call them back. They want to talk, chat, And I thought that was pretty cool. So I don't know which one I'm going to go with yet. Obviously, it's a huge cost, and it's like, I got to see what that bank will do, So I would love a Loring. They are very expensive. So we'll just have to see. I'll let you know in a later episode what I kind of decide on and my reasons why deciding on that roaster versus the others. I'm looking at a 12 to 15 kilogram roaster. I think for me, the research that I've done, that's a good size for a business to start with. Once I feel it's the economies of scale enough, I think that you would probably need to be able to make money. I feel really anything below that is going to be kind of hard unless you're really just focusing on like the coffee shop cafe. But with the world the way it is, I want contingencies to everything. And if something happens and we do have lockdowns again or something like that, I would like to have a way where the coffee roaster can kind of pull everything through, but I would have to have a big enough roaster to be able to scale that amount of coffee. I'm also looking into getting a little sample roaster. Haven't quite decided on that yet. My mindset. I want to kind of go over my mindset where I'm at with everything right now. I think this is an important thing that a lot of people, you don't ever hear anybody talk about during these beginning stages. My mindset has kind of been all over the place with a few things, but it's been pretty consistent with a few as well. I feel very confident about what I'm about to do. And I think that's because I've been diving into this and I've been wanting this for years now. It's not something that I just thought of last week or a couple months ago that, I kind of want to go up in a coffee shop and a roastery. I've kind of been setting up the media, setting up the audience, setting up, a lot of things, the education behind all of it, like learning as much as I can over the past few years, where I feel very confident about what I'm about to do. There is no doubt in my mind that I can do it. I will say I'm pretty scared, and I'm constantly thinking about contingencies and setbacks and, backup plans and stuff like that. As a project manager, I'm kind of always looking for roadblocks that I may be facing in the future. So I'm kind of doing that now, which the order of operations plan that I was talking about earlier has kind of helped me too. Like putting all that together, wondering which order everything is going to go in has helped me kind of like clear out some roadblocks that I may be facing down the road as well. So yeah, the biggest thing for me mentally, I want it so bad. I'm excited. I am scared because it's just one of those things, I got a family, I got kids, I got a wife, I can't really mess up too bad, especially with as much money as I'm going to be borrowing. It's kind of like a one-shot deal. If I mess this up, it's probably going to be a long time before I can rebound from this, years. So I really can't mess it up. So it's one of those things. I feel very confident in what I'm about to do. I'm confident enough because I'm putting together a team as well. I'm getting external consultation. I'm getting advice from contractors. I want a designer. I want to go in and hit it 100%. There's a few people I've spoken with, few roasters. I've met a ton in the industry now at this point just because of kind of what I'm doing. And I will say everybody that I know that has been successful with coffee shops or coffee roasting has went in 100%. And I feel that's what I have to do. I have to dedicate 100% of my energy and focus to make this happen over the next year and, beyond. That's my mindset right now. Once I sign the paper, there's no turning back and I have to make it work. So it's scary, but I feel very confident in what I'm about to do and I'm ready. My media plans for the building. I think this is kind of going to be the thing that I hope will help set me apart a little bit. And it's not something that I've came up with all on my own. It is in the sense that I thought about it, how video and media and all that can really push your brand. I've heard Gary Vaynerchuk and them talk about it, but there have been other YouTubers that I've seen really push their brands and their products, their own products, like, Nick Bear Performance. He does supplements and stuff like that, but he has a great YouTube channel that basically just documents his whole journey. So media plans with the building. Since I started the business, and before even, kind of quitting what I was doing before, I realized the power of StoryBrand and documenting that journey via the content and video. I have no background in video or photography. In fact, the very first video I ever stitched together is my very first one on YouTube. So yeah, I still have a ton to learn in it. Yeah, my media plans are, one, I want to basically start a season, a series. It's going to be, season 1 is basically going to be building out the coffee shop and the roastery. I want to document this whole process. I want to basically go dive in deep into very detailed aspects of what I'm dealing with at the time. That way, if anybody is dealing with, working with contractors on how to, set up the bar, set up the layout, how much square foot do you need for commercial kitchen, stuff like that. I want to kind of dive deep into this whole thing with season 1. I want to go over the roaster I chose. I want to go over the sample roaster I chose. I want to go over how I'm picking coffee, how I'm choosing coffee, my marketing plans for everything, my hiring practices. I just want to basically document my whole journey through this whole build out and all the way up to launch day. Launch day on is going to be season 2. That's far into the future. I'm not even kind of planning about that yet. I just know that's going to be season 2. But season 1, I've been planning a lot, and I think it's going to be super cool. I want to put 100% focus on this series and really make it something that can really benefit anybody kind of watching, wanting to, eventually down the road build out a coffee shop or coffee roastery. And I'll be announcing more of this on a later actual YouTube video about the series and kind of what my plans are and stuff like that. With that being said, if there's any ideas or concepts or anything like that you would like to see in the series, please let me know in the comments below. I'd love to kind of take all that into consideration while I'm in this planning stage, because once I kind of have everything nailed down and I start getting scripts and ideas and B-roll and everything ready for certain ones, it's kind of be locked in. So if there's anything you're kind of interested in that you'd want to see more behind the scenes of what I'm trying to do, let me know and I'll try to lock those into the schedule. With that being said, that's pretty much all for me. I truly appreciate y'all tuning in. I think this is going to be a super cool venture to go down. I'm wanting to bring you with me, and yeah, I think it's going to be pretty cool. So I also wanted to give a huge shout out to my patrons for supporting this podcast, and also, just kind of, being there for me and stuff like that. Super cool to have you, and I appreciate every one of you, and thank you so much for the support for the podcast and everything like that. It means a ton. I promise the podcast will be getting much better. I'm not going to say it's going to improve much until I get the roastery and the cafe built, but once I get the media studio and all that built out, we're going to up the podcast a lot. I'm definitely going to be planning a lot for that. It's going to be more in-person podcast, multiple camera angles and stuff like that. It's going to be super legit. So that's my goal for the podcast, once everything kind of gets finished with the build out. With that being said, this is all preliminary right now. It could literally fall through next week and I'll be starting kind of over. But one thing is for certain, I am pursuing a coffee shop, coffee roaster. If the building and the location I'm currently looking at falls through, I'm going to be looking for another place right off the bat because I got too much stuff going right now to kind of like quit. So I do have contingencies even on buildings right now, but I kind of don't want to think about that because I really, really, really like this one building that I'm looking at, and I hope I can get it. With that being said, I love you guys. I'm dropping a YouTube video very soon. It's going to be on creating. I'm going to kind of make it for you, and it's going to be super cool. That's why you should create. Don't conform, create. Anyway, love y'all. If y'all have anything, hit me up. Like always, I love y'all. Peace out. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Coffee Runs Deep podcast. That's it. I'll see you next time. Later.